Hi, and welcome to this session. We're going to look at 3 questions we need to pose at the beginning and throughout projects. 3 questions actually which are sort of applicable to sort of life in general, I suppose you might say, really. And we'll look at how that works. So the first 3 questions that we pose at the beginning of projects. Number 1 is why? Why are we running this project? This is usually a good understanding of what we're about. What is the vision that is happening? What is the vision that we expect to deliver at the end of the project? What's the change we need to put in place? So that can be sometimes kicked off as to the rationale, right? The rationale behind the project, and therefore linked to the reasons. I'll put in brackets, reasons why we need to run this. There's not necessarily always a problem within the organization. It's just something we need to change because we want to get smarter at it, more environmentally friendly, for example, economically more practical in the way we're actually running the project or the way we're running this particular mechanism, whatever it happens to be. And we need a new policy document because the first one or the current one is not working too well. Okay, so it's not necessarily always a problem. Quite often it's to introduce something new, like I want to put a new cereal packet out or something. So sometimes these changes aren't necessarily always about problems, but we need to understand why the project needs to run, what has kicked it off, what's the rationale behind about it, and what is the vision that this whole project's about. Okay. The next question, therefore linked to that, is what? What is the beneficial change we expect to get out of this? So what is the benefit, right? The benefit, the change that we expect to have at the end. Now this is obviously linked to the vision, right? But these are the 2 important questions. Why are we running it? What do we expect to get out of it, right? Now this is quite important for most people in projects because people run projects, the life cycle, the other processes are there to guide us through, provide some sort of framework and guidance on how we run these projects. But at the end of the day, these are 2 very important questions. But let's put it another way. A little while back, my older daughter wanted to have her younger brother play a game of fish with her, right? So she said, can you come and tell him how to play the game, Daddy? Because, if I start telling him, he'll get bored and walk off, right? And I said, no, look, your brother will listen to you far more than he will to me because you're the same, you're the peers, etc., the same age group, okay? So she started telling her brother how to play the game fish. But sure enough, after about 2 or 3 minutes, he walked away, got bored stiff. As we all do. When companies start to tell us why, how we're going to put some change in place, our mind sort of tends to wander a little bit and thinking, that's fine, but you're telling us how it's going to work for you, right? So I said to him, well, you miss a key thing, actually. Go back and explain to him why you play the game, what you expect to get out of it, and therefore then tell him how you go about achieving that. Right? Sure enough, that's what my daughter did. She sat down with her brother, explained to him why we play the game, right? What it's all about, and therefore how you go ahead and achieve that what it's about from why you played the game. Sure enough, her brother stayed and played, and that's it, and he never looked back. Now he plays Monopoly and even beats me sometimes. So, and he's only 6. So the thing is, the more we explain to people why we're doing this, what it's all about, they can understand in their own head about their involvement in it. And this is so key to projects. You get the people involved in it, and therefore they will start to provide. The next very key important question is how we're going to deliver it, right? The how part, right? And that is the project's approach. Actually, I'll do that in a different color for a particular reason, right? How we're going to deliver the solution. So one is looking at it from a project perspective, right? So a project approach, perspective, how we're going to manage the project because of different ways of doing this. And the other one is the development approach, how we are going to build the solution. And that's why it is so important to have all the right people involved, right? And explain to them the why and the what, because the how will come from them. Believe me, their involvement and their ownership, and this is where it's really key, their ownership of the solution will come from them in that particular aspect. and provide the how. And if they have an ownership of it, it means they'll have a responsibility in delivering it and understand and want to do that. There's nothing better than having people working in your project and program teams who want to work with you because they understand why we're running it, what we need to do to get the solution, and what we're aiming to do, and therefore provide the help in doing that. Right. Things like organizational storytelling. This also helps to functionally get across why we're putting some, transitional changes in place, transformational changes, because quite often at an organizational level, it's a big impact. Right? And the more people understand why you're doing that, the more you can get them involved. At the end of the day, this is all about collaboration, about team working, and it's about communicating, transparency. And we'll look at all these different aspects in other sessions as well to fill that detail in. This is just a high level view. The 3 questions: why are we running this? What's the vision? What's the rationale? What's kicked this project off or this program? What we expect to get out of it? What's the change we're putting in place that we need to have? Linked to the why, and therefore, how do we go about doing that from managing the project and managing the development of the solution itself?